Worst possible choice. Pressure mounts on Schumer to keep pro-coal Joe Manchin from a powerful energy post. So what's going on here? While pressuring Democratic leaders to form a new congressional committee with a mandate to pass a Green New Deal, climate action groups and progressive lawmakers, including Rep-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are also raising deep concerns over the corporate-friendly Democrat. That's a nice, very gentle way to describe Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin, if this was the 50s, Joe Manchin would be too conservative for the Republicans. He'd be too conservative for... I mean, let that sink in. This guy would be considered too conservative for the Republicans back in the 50s. And now, somehow, he's considered a Democrat. And what's the issue going on here? Well, he's expected to serve as the party's top member on the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee. A gift to the fossil fuel industry. That's like having a wolf be in charge of a sheep herd. Joe Manchin, that guy favors coal top removal. He favors fracking. He is in the pockets of big energy. He has brought West Virginia's environment to its knees. He's brought the state to its knees. And we're supposed to have him head this organization. And having somebody like him in charge of an organization like that, you know what it does to it? It makes it null and void. Because nothing will get done. Nothing positive, at least. With somebody like Joe Manchin. You know, and you see all these, you know, Nomiki Konst went on Fox News and debated Tucker Carlson on climate change. She did an excellent job. And Tucker Carlson kept bringing up gas prices, gas prices, gas prices. I have a news flash. Gas prices really don't matter if humanity doesn't exist to drive on the frickin' roads. If we're not here, doesn't matter how much gas is. If the end of the planet, or the end of our stay on the planet, rather, the planet's not going anywhere, we are. If the end of our stay on the planet is at stake, doesn't matter how high gas prices are. You know, a lot of you guys know this because you've been on the stream this week. I lost my grandmother this week, 101 years old, had an amazing life. I will be gone a little bit next week. We'll talk about that at the end. But nobody on their deathbed has ever worried about some kind of consumerism. I'm pretty sure it's never happened. I'm pretty sure George Washington's dying words were, well, we're going to make sure the gunpowder doesn't go up too high, right? Pretty sure that didn't happen. Pretty sure my grandmother's last words weren't, oh man, we're gonna keep gas prices low, right? Or anybody else. When humanity's at stake, the price of a consumer good doesn't frickin' matter. That's an understatement, to say the very least. Doesn't matter. Let's see what else is to this. What can they do to prevent somebody like a Joe Manchin from this appointment? As ranking member of the committee, Joe Manchin would be in the position to reject nominees for positions in the Interior and Energy departments and stop the panel from approving attempts to waive environmental laws concerning logging as well as energy industries, a responsibility Ocasio-Cortez says Manchin is unlikely to fulfill given his ties to big coal. I would say definitely not going to fulfill. All right, so here's what Ocasio said. I have concerns because I don't think we should be financed by the industries we are supposed to be legislating and regulating. Credo Action echoed the sentiment, circulating a petition signed by more than 65,000 people and reading, Senator Joe Manchin is the worst possible choice to lead Senate Democrats' work on energy policy. Do not allow a senator in the pocket of the coal industry to serve as the ranking member of the Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. Manchin received $35,000 from coal companies in 2018, while the oil and gas sector contributed more than $156,000 to his campaign. While a majority of Americans, even in states that had booming coal businesses in past decades, believe the country needs to invest in renewable energy, Manchin has joined President Trump in stubbornly defending the coal industry. Joe Manchin could not be further out of step with his colleagues on the climate crisis and shouldn't be anywhere near leadership that determines our energy policy, added Julian Brave Noisecap, policy analyst for 350.org. Remember all the blue no matter who folks who tried to shame everybody into voting for Joe Manchin because he was worse than the Republican? Or, excuse me, he wasn't as bad as the Republican? I don't know what the difference between them was. But do you remember that? Do you remember those same people, when Joe Manchin had a primary opponent, were silent? Joe Manchin had a primary opponent. Her name was Paula Jean Swearengin. She was a good progressive. She deserved to be in office. And nobody from the Democratic establishment helped her at all. Because again, the blue no matter who camp opposes that stuff. They oppose primary opponents. So then you create a situation where someone's arm is essentially twisted into voting for a Joe Manchin. And what happens? The progressives in the Democratic Party who actually want to do something about climate change are going to be kneecapped because this parasite, Joe Manchin, is in the party too. Do you see how this system is completely broken? Do you see how we're kind of stuck in a rut and we're stuck with a flat tire when we have two right-wing parties? And you're supposed to pick the less shitty right-wing party. And if you are someone who does not share any of those values, you're supposed to try to infiltrate the right-wing party anyway that's less severe so that you can be kneecapped. This is just another for instance of that playing out. Joe Manchin. How is that guy? He opposes living wages. He's anti-union, pro-fracking, pro-big business, pro-coal. Went along with Trump pretty much the entire time. He's gone along with Trump. Said he would vote for Trump. Joe Manchin. And now he's going to be the guy leading this. Leading the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee. Joe Manchin. Even the Democrats couldn't come up with a worse choice. I mean, that's the worst choice in the Democrats. And that's what they're trying to shove down people's throats. This is why the problem with our electoral politics is a systemic one. This is why incrementalism isn't going to get us out of this. This is why just voting the lesser of two evils isn't going to get us out of this. And I wonder if anyone in the Mick resistance who was trying to shame people into voting for Manchin during the midterms are going to be talking about this, seeing how now he's kneecapping an initiative that will prolong our time on this frickin' planet.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your